Oh jeez, oh boy. Alright, what's up guys? So I haven't really filmed in a while, been doing a lot of school stuff, as you guys know. It's just like an ongoing thing, but I took the time out of the day to answer hopefully a lot of questions that you guys have with my truck. I get a lot of questions on a lot of things on a lot of parts of my truck, so I thought what better way to spend the day than go out and actually make a video explaining every nut and bolt of my truck, everything that you guys need to know, every question that you guys had. I'm really sorry if it's windy. I'm kind of like trying to work with this mic and I'm downwind. Here, let me see if that makes it better. I'm trying to work with the wind noise. It probably does suck, but we'll see what happens. So I have to like work in between, like there'll probably be spots where I'll stop filming just because it gets really windy, and then I'll start filming again, so I might lose my train of thought. So I am sorry if I do that. But regardless, we're gonna answer a lot of questions with this truck. Not gonna be really driving it today or doing anything, but I'm just gonna go through the entire truck front to back, inside and out, everything that I've done to it. If you guys have questions, hopefully this will answer them. If there's any more, feel free to let me know down below, or you can ask me on my Instagram at @thecraig909. You guys can follow me. I get a lot of DMs from you guys asking me questions, and I help you guys out there. So if you have a specific question, a little bit more in depth than something I cover here, be sure to find me there, talk to me there. Hopefully I can help you out. All right, well, that didn't really last very long. So I already got kicked off the grass by a yard worker because he doesn't like my truck on his grass, I guess. So moved to the dirt, and yeah, I'll get right into this. I'm trying to park somewhere where like the wind blocks it. So if I move over here, there's no wind, but like if I come over here just slightly, the wind, you could probably already hear it, it comes in. So I'm gonna try to work my best around the wind. That's kind of why I'm parked against this big C train. But yeah, so starting with the front, I guess. The front sheet metal of the truck is actually, some of it's original, some of it is not. So the bumper is actually not original. The only thing on the front end of this truck that's original is the hood. That's it. So what happened a long time ago is you can actually see a little bit of it here. This thing hit a pole. So the front end was kind of smashed, the grill was smashed, the valence was smashed, and the bumper was smashed. But when I got it, there was already a new bumper on it. And I could tell the bumper was replaced because the valence behind it was destroyed. And there's no real way that you can smash a valence without destroying a bumper. So the bumper was replaced, and the frame rails are just a hair bent on just the front. You can see the gap in between here is a little bit different, and the gap here is even. So the front frame rail actually on this side is just a hair bent in, but that's okay. I do have another frame for this truck. But regardless, so the front bumper has been replaced. This valence has been replaced. I actually bought the front end of another truck off of Craigslist. The guy was parting out a truck. It was a not the Wimbledon white, the more white of the two. I forget the name of it, but it was a white two-tone with a yellow truck, and I bought the whole front clip of it, besides the hood. So grill, fenders, core support, inner fenders, all that good stuff. I bought that off of him. I put the valence on off of that truck because the bottom of it was white, and you can't really tell the difference. Well, this one isn't the original fender either, but this is Wimbledon, and then you can see that's kind of Wimbledon too. So it matched, at least. It matched a little bit better. The original color of my truck is somewhere like, yeah, there it is. Way down in there. You can barely see little bits and pieces of it. But that's the original color. It's still Wimbledon. It was just resprayed at one point. So the only thing that's original is the hood, as you can tell because of that one dent. So the grill we replaced off that truck. I got the grill inserts off another truck, I think. I painted them. I did a bad job. I need to fix it and redo it. But regardless, not really too big of a deal. New headlight buckets, new headlights, new license plate. But yeah, the only thing on the front, I didn't even realize, the only thing original sheet metal wise on the front of this truck is the hood. That's it. And I mean, you can see I actually started sanding down just this one spot just to kind of see if I can get the original paint back, but it's just going to be way too big of a pain. It's just, you can see they obviously sprayed a primer in between the two, so that would be quite a truck to get that paint color back. But so we've got all new front sheet metal, but you wouldn't really tell it. It matches the truck for the most part. Now keep in mind, I haven't really finished any of the body work. Like, I've spray painted this whole side of this hood, and I was starting to blend it in, but I stopped. You can see like this is a little bit of spray paint because this is a different white. I mean, you could definitely tell there. But I haven't really body worked everything in yet. This is an original fender. I don't think this is Wimbledon. I think this is a different color white. But regardless, it was an original fender. I paid $40 for this fender. Got the fender, put it on. I spent the money just because I wanted it, because it matched. The other fender is off that two-tone yellow fender, and I wonder if I can find a spot of it that's yellow. Yeah, there we go. You can see the yellow right in there. So yeah, it's yellow to about right here. Up is yellow and down is all white. So this is kind of original, but you can see I kind of like spray painted over part of this. it's not really the nicest job in the world, and it also I had trim that went all the way around on the wheel wells. I took it off because I didn't like it, and I was missing it on certain fenders. But yeah, the sheet metal has been replaced. My lights, my headlights, a lot of people ask me about these lights. These headlights are a 7-inch Jeep headlight from Oxbeam. You can see the stamp in there. These are Oxbeam lights, 7-inch lights. I will try to find the link, and I will link you guys down below. I also have a video for it. I'll put a card up. You guys can check the video out. Me installing these, telling you how to install them. It's a really general install. They pretty much plug right in. There's 3 mounting screws, and since this headlight's just a little bit thicker, you might have to go to the hardware store and just get them a tad longer. That's it. That's really the only thing you have to do to put these things in. I've got Sam riding my bike around because we're gonna go to the skate park in a little bit. Let me know if you guys would want to see a video of me doing other stuff than cars, because we're gonna go ride the skate park over there. But I wanted to make this video first. So moving my way back, new emblems. These emblems were off a desert truck at a swap meet. Paid 50 bucks for both of them. They are original, as you can see the Fomico stamp right there. So those are original, but they're not all pitted. That's the big part. So got those. I'm not really done with any of the bodywork over here. I used to have some junk antenna. I'm gonna put a new antenna in it. Original trim. Different door. I've replaced the door because I'll show you the example on the driver door. So it happened a long time ago when I bought my truck, I guess probably like 10 years before that. I've been sat in a field for like 20 years, and then before it was parked there, it was used and abused hard. So somehow or another, that was when it was smashed into that pole. Both doors were hyper extended forward, and what I mean by that was the door was opened up and they drove it backwards into something, and the door actually came all the way forward, crunched the fender and crunched the door right here. And you can actually see this door is a little bit wacky because if I move it forward, it kind of flexes really weird right there. So this guy's really jacked, and that's also why I have to slam it, and there's like a freaking half-inch gap in between the door here, which is terrible. But yeah, this one's, you can see where this is all original. This is the original door to it. This fender has been replaced. I just did this really quickly because this fender used to be completely smashed right here so I put a new fender on it. That's why I have 2 new fenders. That's why I put the other door on, because the other door was even worse. I still haven't replaced the driver door because of the VIN tag and all the other stuff, and I wanted to get 2 proper patinaed. I want to buy a patinaed truck so I can take the doors and the fenders off of it. I want to keep my hood because that's kind of the one part I think I like the most. At least it looks original. I mean, it's still resprayed, but I think it looks the best. So one of these days I'll get a Wimbledon white parts truck and rip the doors off of it, and maybe even the bed. I don't know, just a lot of parts so it matches better. Because this was just a white door I found on Craigslist. It was cheap. I think I paid $100 for it. And it had the internals in it. And I pretty much just put it together and went for it. So fits good. I gapped it. Seems to be gapped pretty well. And it works, so not really a big deal. But yeah, moving back, original bed. Nothing really crazy about that. There was someone that tried doing a lot of body work. As you can tell, none of this body work was me. None of it. I did a little bit of color sanding up front, but I have not finished. All the Rust-Oleum was not me. This is all Rust-Oleum because this is full of Bondo. Someone screwed in the drip rail because it was rotting so bad. So this is a California truck, but it's a little bit more rusty than you probably could imagine. And there's a bunch of dents right here that someone filled in with Bondo. So this is all Bondo. The back is all color sanded, more Rust-Oleum. This was bare metal and it just rusted. And then more Bondo because something fell on the roof of the truck when someone was working with this thing. And yeah, more Bondo, Bondo, Bondo. This thing's full of Bondo. I mean, you've even got Bondo on the wheel wells. I don't even know why you would waste your time, to be honest. I mean, that's some thick stuff too. That's not tiny. So someone was obviously prepping to paint this truck again. They color sanded this, but this, I can't stress this enough. I didn't do this. They were sanding this with like 100 grit, which is completely wrong. I don't know why you would be using that kind of a grit on this, but you can see the lines it drew in it. The top looks pretty good, I'd say. I mean, I don't really mind the Bondo. I don't really care. It is kind of ugly, but what are you gonna do? I might sand that down. We'll see. I had replaced I got another batch for it. It's a used one off of eBay I got for it. New side marker lights, a couple other miscellaneous things like that. But I do need to take all this rot, filler, whatever you want to call that, out and fix all that. And you can see all the roof rust. Yeah, this is all Rust-Oleum and Bondo, which will get fixed eventually. I just don't know when. I started scraping it all out because there was a fat thing of Bondo in here, and you can even see parts of it still. I scraped it all out, and then I got to this hole and I was like, nope, I daily drive this truck, so I kind of just left it, never really finished it. I'll probably put a whole new roof skin on this truck, to be honest. I mean, it's not the greatest thing on the planet, but it's still, it holds up. It's not like the roof's gonna fly off or anything. But I mean, from a distance, it's still a pretty straight truck, so I'm not concerned about all those things yet. I mean, I got other projects, and this, I'm never gonna sell this truck, so I'm not really worried about it. So moving into the interior of the truck, not really anything in the interior at all is original to this thing. The seat isn't. Actually, the only thing is pretty much the steering column, pedal assembly, glove box door, and the floor mats. I mean, the floor mats are pretty bad. They're just, you can see the rust through my floor. There's a nice hole through here. There's a couple holes up there. I'm sure there's other holes. There's holes on the other side. It's not a rust-free truck at all. And you can see again with this drip rail, bondo disgustingness that I have to fix. So yeah, that's gonna be terrible. I don't think these are supposed to be screwed in, by the way, at all. So that's, then you can see all the overspray from the Rust-Oleum, and it's just a big mess that I gotta fix. But regardless, I'll get around to it. Picked these doors up, door panels up off another truck, sanded them down. They were teal, or that baby blue, aqua blue, whatever you want to call it. Sanded them down, painted it, spray painted them with just like an ace paint. It's actually super durable. I beat the crud out of these things, and they're not even that scratched up at all. They look pretty good. So I mean, the seat belt slaps over here all the time, and I mean, I haven't even cleaned it. It's dirty. It'll clean up pretty nice, but looks pretty good. I think I replaced these because I had, like, one of them was missing, and then the other one was like a white ugly plastic. New door handles because mine were all pitted. I have a black door handle for it, but I don't know if I'm the only one on the planet that has this issue. When I put the door handle on, I open it and it doesn't allow me enough leverage to open the door because it hits the handle. That's a big issue I've run into. So I do need to fix that, but I mean, I don't know if I'll shave the door handle down. I'll make my own custom one. I'm not really sure yet, but we'll see. But yeah, so moving into the interior, $25 LMC seat. The seat came out of a dent side. It was a 75 F250. Slides forward. It's got the regular back, and then it slides back. Nothing's crazy. Original seat belts. So this was a sports custom that had the green and white interior. So it was pretty ugly, and it had the green seat belts, green dash, green steering column, green floor mats, green door panels, and like I think it was like supposed to be a Wimbledon headliner, but as you can tell, replaced all that. A lot of people are asking me where I got this headliner. What is it? What did I do with it? So the whole rundown on the headliner is pretty much, it is a Dennis Carpenter cardboard cutout headliner that I ordered from them. It's a factory one that you would pretty much upholster. So instead of upholstering the cardboard cutout, I pretty much took it to a graphics vinyl wrap kind of shop. They laid a whole decal on it, so they hand cut out all these stars. And I mean, I haven't cleaned it. It's pretty dirty. I haven't cleaned it since I put it in, actually. But you can see they hand cut out every single line and every single star, and it turned out really good. So this probably costed me, for the cardboard cutout, was over $150. That's just what it's gonna cost, and then I paid about $100 to get it wrapped. But I was happy with it. I didn't care. It was like one of one, because everyone just does regular flags and steams and glues them or whatever. I wanted to do a vinyl because I didn't want to cut a flag. So I'm kind of happy with it. It turned out nice. And then I got these visors out of another truck. Nothing really crazy there. Moving to the steering wheel. The steering wheel is probably another thing I get a lot of questions on. So it's an LMC wheel. You can go on their website and they have these wheels. They're pretty much just a 3-bolt standard Grant wheel. I'm pretty sure this is just a Grant wheel. That LMC sells them, and you can get the center cap that says Ford, and you can also get the adapter that goes to the Ford steering column. Now mine is not correctly installed, that's why my turn signals don't work, and you can see the big gap I got going on there. That needs to be fixed. I need a steering wheel installer to get that all the way down, so it should look a lot better of a gap than this. But you can see that does not sound right, so I have a lot of issues going on in here I need to fix. Next up, I put all new chrome switches in here. You can get these, I got these at cng.com. They're like a local, I guess, Ford restoration place. I'm certain LMC sells them. I'm certain Dennis Carpenter sells them. I'm sure plenty of other websites sell them. But they're all brand new remanufactured chrome. Everything works right, new switches. I think this guy is the switch arm is the only one that isn't original. As you can tell, it's a little bit more pitted than the other ones are, but these ones are all brand new. And then I have the cigarette lighter one in my glove box. But next one, I guess, is the big question everyone asks me: where did you get those gauges? So as you can tell, these are autometer gauges. It's a whole complete set. The set runs you about a little over $800 for the entire set. And And I have absolutely no idea where this gauge panel came from, because it came out of my 1969 Ford F-250 pre-runner that I bought, and I parted it out because my friend totaled it. So he didn't build the truck, so he doesn't know where they came from either. And so I'm certain someone made this. I don't know if a company made it. It almost looks like someone made a mold and just kind of like filled it and made it themselves, and then cut out a piece of swirled aluminum. I don't really know. I wish I could tell you guys, but for all I know, it could be one of one. I really don't know. But the gauges are automated gauges. You can find them on their website. Cluster, I have no idea. We cut and drilled holes for the turn signals and the high beam switch. It's nothing crazy. It's just a little, I think Speedway Motors sells them. They're just little LEDs. They're wired, so I can go ahead and I can flip on a switch. And I can turn my high beams on like that. And my turn signals work, or hazards work the same. So you can see, you know, those because those were never there, so I wired those in. So yeah, pretty simple setup there, nothing really crazy. I still have the stock 3 in the tree linkage. Hopefully this will get a floor shifter pretty soon, I hope. I took the radio out. It did have a factory radio that was removed, and then there was like an 80s GM junk radio in it. Took that out because I was gonna rewire a new one in there, but as you can tell, I didn't really get around to it, so all I have is my Bluetooth speaker that sits here. So yeah, didn't really get around to it, haven't yet. I will probably hide the speakers so I don't have to cut holes in these nice door panels. But same setup on the door on that side, matching window cranks, matching door panels, matching everything on that side, and a new little dome light. Nothing really crazy here. This is an original dash that I picked up on Craigslist from the same guy that parts trucks out, and I got my whole, what the frick? Boy. But it's the same guy I got my front sheet metal from for my truck and all that good stuff. So I picked this dash up for him. This one was a little bit more pricey. This was $180 for me, but it's an original black dash. The only crack is this one right here. As you guys can see, that's the only crack in the entire dash. It fits really nice. It's an original one. The repop covers look terrible. I know you can buy just a cover. I would not recommend it. They look terrible. I bought a truck with a cover dash and it just did not fit right. And it was like, it only came down to like right here, and there was just like a big gap, and you can catch it with your fingers. It just looked really trashy in my opinion. So go the extra mile, try to find an original dash, or spend the real money and get a brand new one, or simply take your old one and get it reupholstered, because you can do that as well. So took the heater, the first thing I did when I bought the truck is I actually took the heater box out, replaced the heater core in it so my heater does work, fixed all the linkage, and I went ahead and painted it so it looks pretty new. So everything down there looks kind of new, but I did this like 3 years ago, so I can imagine it's pretty dirty, but everything does work down there, which is nice. I still do have the green seat belts, and I put a new tank in this. This tank was from LMC because I had a big issue with this truck having rust in the fuel filter, and I simply couldn't fix it because every single week I drove it, the fuel filters turned black from all the rust in the tank. I could go around a corner and you can hear metal sloshing around, which was just rust, and that was becoming a really, really big issue. So after my whole fuel system was destroyed, my brand new rebuilt carburetor was full of rust, and it just clogged my carburetor, and I couldn't even drive my truck. This was 3 years ago. We decided to get a whole new tank from LMC. The only issue I kept having with LMC is the way they packed these at the time. I don't know if they still do that, but they just packed it in a cardboard box. So every time I got it, the tabs would be bent. They're a little bit bent there, or I had the nozzle was completely smashed in once. I had the ears were all bent. I just had a really bad experience. I had to get 3 tanks shipped from them, so it was kind of a cluster to get that thing. I mean, I'm glad I got it now. It's looking good. It works fine. I don't have any issues. You can see it's kind of dirty up here. I do need to clean it, but I have not been back here in 3 years, so there's nothing really I've had to do. It's held up to everything I've put it through. All new fittings and hoses, and I wire wheeled the hoses, and I put new fittings in it just to kind of get me on the road at the time. I should probably redo it all, and I will. But this is a repop tank from LMC. Dennis Carpenter, I'm pretty sure, sells something like this as well. I would recommend both. They're really good companies, and they make good stuff, so you can definitely check that out. So this truck, being a Wimbledon White Sports Custom short bed, it has the 302 V8, the 3-speed manual transmission on the column, 9-inch in the rear, and it does have the 9-inch in the rear. As you can tell, it is pretty leaky. I do have to fix the seal around there. It might be pinion seal, it might just be the third member, not really sure. But another thing I forgot to mention is this did have a trim package down here, which you can see. I did kind of partially straighten this out and put it back on. I do need to get all new ones for the bottom, which I will do eventually. I did put these running lights on. I really, really badly want to cut the section out of a 67 to 69 bed that doesn't have these and put them on, because I really am not a fan. They just don't line up in my opinion. So I do want to change that eventually. I did have taillight trim, as you can see. I removed that because I like this clean look a little bit better. And actually, believe it or not, this is not the original tailgate for those of you who are new. I made a video picking this tailgate up. This truck used to have a lift gate on it to move appliances and move really whatever. I'm pretty sure that's where the big dent in the roof came from, and that's kind of why this truck was so thrashed when I got it, is it was just a utility vehicle. It moved stuff, and that's kind of why it sat really high. When I bought it, it was really high in the rear. It still kind of is a little bit higher in the rear. But everything was pretty much because it had the lift gate on it, and it was pretty much beaten and abused. That's why the bed was so destroyed. You can see everything inside the bed's really trashed. The bed floor does not sit level at all. It kind of caves in, goes up, does that kind of motion. It's a little bit rusted up front. And it's not perfect by any means. But when I bought it, the guy wanted to keep the liftgate, and I was like, fine, I would have taken it off anyways. And so it had a green, blue, and like red tailgate on it. It was really, really ugly. But a lot of you guys that have probably been around my channel before I had 5,000 subscribers, before I probably had 1,000 subscribers, you guys probably remember that. I did have a green tailgate on the truck, and I actually changed it out for this Wimbledon white factory truck tailgate, which I found on Craigslist for $800. He wanted for the whole truck. I persuaded the guy. It was an old guy. He was really stubborn, just wanted to get rid of it. I mean, the roof was about to blow off of that truck because it was so rotted. And I paid him $200 and gave him my tailgate just so I can get this tailgate because it matched so unbelievably well. I mean, it's the correct color. It was straight. There weren't any dents in it. I mean, the colors match almost perfectly, and you can see the original paint right there matches it perfectly, just not the respray. I do have to sand and blend everything in like I've said before, but if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't really know. So that is an original tailgate off another truck, and then I put the Eco Boost pads because, you know, I like to trigger people, and it's funny. But this truck did have the side marker lights on it, or the back reflectors. I didn't like those. I will probably fill and fix those later. Yeah, a couple other things. So a lot of you guys asked me a ton of questions about the motor and exhaust system, so let's go right into the engine bay, which is where all my time has been with this truck rather than the outside. As you can probably tell, it's not the nicest thing in the world, but the inside is where I think it counts. So most of my time, I take a lot of pride in my engine bay, and I notice a lot of people say you can tell a lot about a person by what's under their engine bay, and I think I kind of try to show that, but I also do it in a reasonable manner because I'm not a millionaire. I can't afford a lot of really high-end stuff, so I kind of worked with what I had, and it took me a lot of time and a lot of work to get my engine bay to look like this, and I'll pretty much give you a full rundown of what it is. So when I first bought my truck, the radiator was broken. I think one of the cores split, something along those lines, so all we got to do is hear the truck run for like 30 seconds and then he shut it off. So the first thing we had to do in it was put a radiator in it. So what we were recommended to run was a Champion 2-core aluminum radiator for this truck. That's what I've seen and talked to a lot of people, and that's what they recommend. They run really cool. This truck runs at about 175 all the time, and I can get it lower than that on a day like this where it's cloudy out. This truck runs incredibly cold. On a 90 to 100 degree day in stop and go traffic, it'll creep up to and barely above 180. That's as hot as this sucker gets. I'm pretty sure it has a 160 thermostat, for those of you guys wondering. I'm almost positive that's what's in it. I'm not 100% positive though, but I'm almost positive that's what was in it. Can't really remember because we did put that in 3 years ago. So Champion 2-core aluminum radiator. This sucker ran me, I think, about $169. It was really cheap for what it is, and I think this is by far my best purchase in terms of reliability in the truck. That's what you should go with, and it looks really good when you look at the front. I mean, when the hood is closed, all you see is the black core support because I painted it, and then you see that nice shiny radiator. So I think that does look really good. Replaced the battery, new battery holders, all painted the entire engine bay. I made a really good detailed video of how I did this. I pulled the whole front sheet metal off at once, and I body sanded and worked with everything. It wasn't perfect. Everything is spray painted, but it does look 1,000 times better than the pitted rust metal. You can see it is pitted back there because these are original fenders, but I did primer and spray everything. I changed my core support out with a different one I had, sprayed that as well, and I mean, as though it's not perfect, it looks way better. So I think that definitely is something that you guys should try if you are looking to spice up your engine bay. I'm telling you right now that painting it will wake it up. No matter if you have an upgraded or a stock motor that isn't painted, the painted black engine bay really brings out the look of an engine bay, I think, personally, and I would really recommend putting the work in to do it. So coming off my fuel system, we have this needs to get fixed. This will get fixed this summer. Just goes into the pump, comes back out. I have a Holley fuel regulator. I really recommend these. They're really helpful when tuning a truck. And then I have a Mr. Gasket gauge, which tells me my fuel pressure. So when it's running, I can test it. I have this carburetor set up at about 5.5 PSI. I'm working and tuning with it right now. So I'm kind of running with the idle mixture screws, and I'm working with the fuel pressure to kind of get the best economy and power setting. I don't really care for economy, but I just really want to get it to run where I like it. I want the good throttle response. I want it to go. I don't want it to lean out, all that good stuff. And I don't want to be burning gas I don't need to. So I'm trying to tune it into a spot I like. But for the most part, I'll give you a full rundown on the engine. We replaced everything that needed to be replaced when the motor was stock. So the only thing that's original from when we first did it was, you can see this whole motor was blue. And so it was a blue 302, like a lot of you have seen before. So I left the blue throttle neck. You can see it's still blue right there. Blue water pump, that's just a factory O'Reilly's water pump. I painted the fans and belts and pulleys all black. Everything was new and black. We put a new alternator in it, new water neck. We painted the old intake blue, painted the old valve covers blue, the air cleaner was blue. We repainted everything. It looked like a nice new stock manifold or stock motor. All we really had to do was put the decals back on it and it would have looked completely original. But that wasn't really what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a hot rodder and I wanted to change everything. So I slowly started changing everything off. I put these headers on it. These headers are Flowtech long tube headers. They run you about 150 bucks on Summit. You have to make sure they're the F100 headers, because these bends, if they're not exactly like that, they will hit the motor mounts, as you can see right there, and they will definitely hit the cross member in the back. And these are a real big pain in the butt to install. If you have a cherry picker, I would highly recommend lifting the engine up about 3 inches or so, just so you can get those things in there, because it took me 2 days to install these without lifting the motor up. The driver's side is easy. The passenger side can be a real big pain in the butt though. So for more of like an engine dress up thing, I got these Ford Racing kind of breather caps for my valve covers and an Edelbrock air cleaner. Kind of matches. They're not the same, but they do match. They were white filters. This one I really need to clean, but they do serve a good purpose, and I think they look a lot better than factory ones or regular PCVs that go to the back of the carburetor. I got the Ford Racing cast aluminum valve covers. These ones say powered by Ford. You can get all sorts of different ones. These ones run you probably about $170 or more. I got these at a swap meet for 40 bucks. Pretty good. Have a decent paint job. I did have the issue, I didn't have this fuel line holder here, so when it got hot, the fuel line would rub against the valve cover and it kind of ate away at the paint. That's kind of a bummer, but live and learn. I will fix that. We'll put new valve covers on it and I'll repaint them and I'll make them look a lot better. We'll do a lot more engine dress up stuff later on down the road, but for now, since I have been just driving this truck, it'll serve for now. And like I said before, we will go through all this stuff and replace everything and do it pretty much all over again. So now I'm gonna go ahead and take the air cleaner off and I'll look at the carburetor and I'll show you kind of like my setup down there. So I did this upgrade pretty much at once when I did the Offenhauser. And for those of you wondering, I do have an Edelbrock 600 carburetor. The part number is right there. It's a 1406. It's a pretty basic carburetor. I have it tuned pretty mildly. I can't remember exactly what my tune is, but my vacuum advance, I'm not really sure exactly how my tune's set up. I pretty much have this tuned decently on the front. I'm pretty sure the internals are stock. I haven't changed metering rods. I haven't changed anything like that. I have my accelerator pump on the highest setting so I can get the biggest plunge immediately. Because this thing has a real big lean issue. I think it has to do with the intake manifold I'm running, but regardless, I wanted that set up pretty high. 5.5 PSI fuel pressure, and then I kind of dialed these in. I kind of worked with it. You tighten them all the way in, and then I'll back them out about a turn, start it, and then just kind of balance them out, let them in, loosen them, and then tighten them, and just keep going back and forth until I find a tune I like. There's plenty of videos on how to tune a carburetor. You can check that out, and hopefully that'll help you. The throttle linkage. So the throttle linkage on this truck, I custom made myself, and there was one guy that kind of did something similar I found online, and I pretty much wanted to make it for myself. So what I did here was I got a piece of all thread. I can't remember the size. I did make a video on how I made this. I'll put a card up so you guys can check that out, or I'll show it at the end of the video, but you guys can check this out. So what I did is I got a piece of all thread, whatever size I wanted at the time, and then I ended up getting a piece of aluminum sleeving, a piece of aluminum tube that went right over it barely. Then I went and I got Allen key fittings, little nylon bushings, and a nut for the back, nylon nut on the back. And then I went ahead and I got these Heims from Napa. I can't remember the part number. There's a lot of good stuff in that video showing you how I made this. You guys can check that out. but I did slide the all-thread. I screwed the all-thread into one side of the Heim, and then I slid the aluminum over, cut it to size, and I pretty much have this thing. It's a fully adjustable. I can lengthen it and shorten it. I would just have to change the size of the aluminum tube. I'm sure you could use a piece of fuel line for this, but I literally just went to a hardware store and made this entire thing. I think it costed me around $30, and it gets rid of that entire big weird thing you got going on back here sitting on the intake manifold. So I would highly recommend this because it's literally, that goes to your pedal and it's literally just a straight shot. So it works really, really well. And I was able to adjust where my full throttle is, how much pedal movement I got. Really, really helped big time when I put the forward barrel on. That was a big problem I ran into. So I would highly recommend doing this. So going underneath the truck, coming off the collector, it's a 3-inch collector, downsized to a 2.5-inch exhaust. I come all the way down, and what I did here was, this was a used Flowmaster Super 10 that I got off another truck. I cut it off, re-bulged it, welded it on. It's nothing really special, it's nothing really that nice. I would recommend welding it because you can see that little exhaust leak right there. There's a couple others that back when high school me didn't know how to weld, so I kind of just slapped it all together. It sounds really good, and then it's just got a 45 bend, and it's just got a hanger off the frame. It's stuck off the side. You guys probably saw in my last video kind of the rundown of this. It's pretty simple, nothing really crazy. Sounds pretty good. True tools too. So there's a lot of stuff about this truck that I've gone over. There's a lot of stuff that I probably left out. I've even put these little fancy engine lights in. I made a video on that as well. I do need to really button this up. I don't know why the heck I'm using a paper clip to hold this wire up. But yeah, you can see these come on and off when I open the hood based on a mercury switch. Made a video on that. Pretty much anything I've done to this truck I've made a video on. So if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Check out all the videos I've got building this truck, putting it together. And the great thing is we're just getting started. So for the wheel setup, this is a factory wheel. The way you can tell if these are factory wheels, if you look on one of these 5 spots on the wheel, there will be a Ford stamp. You can probably barely see the remnants of it right there, but that is a Ford stamp. These are 15 by 7-inch rims, and the tire I'm running is a Cooper Cobra Radial GT. It's a 255 60R15. It's about the biggest tire you would want to go. You can go a little bit taller. You can probably do a 70R15 if you wanted to. I think that would be fine, or a 65R, but I wouldn't go much wider than a 255. I would not recommend putting a 265 because you can see there's a lot of strain on the sidewall here, so I would not recommend going any wider, but you can do whatever you want really. These do grip really well. They look really good. They've lasted me a good amount of time. I'm just getting started on these tires. I just put them on and I have a good experience with them so far, but I would definitely recommend if you have stock wheels to try this tire combo out because it has that vintage look that everyone wants. Alright, so there's been a lot of stuff I've talked about this truck, a lot of stuff I've explained, there's a lot of stuff I haven't really gone over, but that's kind of just the rambling section. This was a very, very long video, I know it will be, but I wanted to tell you every nut and bolt, front to rear, how I did it, why I did it, kind of the basic setup now, because hopefully this summer there's going to be a lot of changes with this truck, so I kind of want to just document it now, show you guys what's going on, and kind of maybe inspire you to check out some of the other videos. If you are curious on how I did something, almost every single thing I've done to this truck I filmed, so you guys can check it out. Everything from the throttling to the Offenhauser intake install to the seat install. You guys can check out everything that I've done to this truck. So be sure to check that out. So I know this video was a very, very long one. If you did go on and enjoy today's video, please leave a like on the video. That would mean a lot to me. I put a lot of work into this video. I know it's a long one. If you are new to the channel, my name is Craig. You guys can see all sorts of cool stuff for this truck coming forward. You guys can hit the subscribe button and hit the little bell next to my name to get notifications for when I post a future video, so you guys are never late on a video upload. If you have any specific questions, you can follow my Instagram and send me a direct message there. Maybe I can help you out with something a little more in specific. And so yeah, if you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.